and really celebrating each other's company. But the fact that I can have these amazing panelists and have our attendees tonight really to listen, learn, educate, share the successes of our panelists and our Bronx businesses, whom we are so very proud of. And it was only my wish to be able to have all members here tonight, Black-owned businesses that are really a success to the story of our borough. That being said, I'm going to walk you a little bit of how we will be running this evening. So I will have our four amazing panelists introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about themselves. I will then be asking a series of questions. The city that really speaks to the successes of what you all have accomplished. We want to learn from you. We want to share. I hope that we have some young adults also watching that can aspire to be you and wanting to start their businesses here in the Bronx. So thank you so very much. And we will get started. I will address one of my panelists at a time for you to say hello. Tell us a little bit about your business, yourself, greetings, and then we'll start the Q&A. Cornell Robinson, we will start with you. Welcome tonight and happy Black History Month.
All right, thanks for having me. So I'm a Jamaican. I'm a Jamaican vet. I came here in 2006. And, went to culinary school. I started Carnes Killing Company in 2012. What inspires me was I was working in the kitchen with cooking for elderly people. And the food that we were cooking, it was not so good, you know. So I want to make a change. You know, I want to cook for people who enjoy eating healthy, so I can help people along life. So that's when I started, you know, Carnes Killing Company, and we focus on healthy dishes.
I'm sorry, can you speak up just a little bit?
Let me just get some volume.
There we go.
So we focus on mostly healthy food. You know,
Right.
Just whole grains, low sodium, you know, most organic stuff. So yeah, so if you are healthy, if you enjoy eating healthy, or you work out, you want to lose weight, then yeah, check us out. We are on a platform called Chef. That's where you can go and order our food. If you go on Chef, you go in the Caribbean section. That's where you see my menus popped up. I'm also doing a few contracts with the city, Niger, and I'm going to start with Ministry of Health, cooking for the healthcare staff who will be getting vaccine. That is great. That's great for us. And we also working with Food for Soul. That's a food bank. That's who we are and what we are doing now. We have to pivot because of the virus.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you and congratulations. That's it's very encouraging, and I'm so glad you can join us tonight. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will learn from your challenges and successes. Rhonda James, if you can introduce your business and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I am Rhonda James, co-founder of E218 Events Management, which is an event management company that handles the logistics of your event vision to life. And we leverage our network relationships and our experiences to pull all of the pieces together to make sure that your event is successful and memorable. So whether you need help creating your event from scratch or just a little support for the finishing touches, we're here to help. We pride ourselves in saying that we do events with passion, professionalism, and peace of mind. I'm a born and raised Bronxite, and I'm just really grateful for this opportunity and for the chamber, because they have been such a lifeline, especially during the last year. And Lisa and her staff have been amazing and they are some of the hardest working women in this county. And I'm just grateful to kind of be in their number.
Thank you so much. I'll pay you for that later. Takia Thompson, if you would introduce yourself and your business, please.
Good night, everyone. You guys hearing me?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfectly. Good night. Good night. I'm Takia Thompson Graham. I'm the owner of Upcake Supplies and Treat Shop. We're located in the Bronx. We're the first Black female-owned cake supply store in the Bronx. This business was started from home. It was a home baking business. But while we were home, we have a lot of bakers that was reaching out to us, asking us, where did we get our supplies? And they were even reaching out to us when their delivery didn't come on time. So they were ending up buying my supplies and asking me to print edible image for them because they couldn't get their supplies in time. So that's when Upcake Supplies and Treat Shop was started. And it took years of researching and investing and pouring out of life savings and everything. But this June, we're going on 2 years. And I'm proud to say that the Bronx is on the map. And a little bit about me. I'm Jamaican background, but I've migrated since 1997. So I went to school here in the Bronx also, but most of my education, I started from Jamaica. And then I finished here in the Bronx. I go to Evander Childs and I did a little bit at BMCC, but the rest is history.
The rest is those delicious cupcakes you make.
Thank you.
And our fourth panelist is Mr. Ralph Rowley. If you wouldn't mind introducing your business and yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Good.
My name is Ralph Roll. I'm from the Bronx, born and raised. I grew up in Bronx River houses. Like Rhonda, I am a proud Bronxite. I mean, if you cut me open, just little Bronx is going to just drop out. I am I have a few different fields of expertise, I could say. I'm a professional musician. I've been a musician for a little over 40 years now. I've worked with many people in the industry, kind of going backwards to forwards. I've just worked on the soundtrack for Rocket Man and Cats. I've played with quite a few people in the business. I teach now. I do a lot of master classes around the world. For a while, I was the drummer on Showtime at the Apollo. Hold on, let me just mute my phone. I'm in my restaurant right now. So that's everything you're hearing in the background. For many years, I was the drummer on Showtime at the Apollo with Ray Chu and the crew with Steve Harvey, which was a great experience to be able to work on, not only at the Apollo, but with him, to just watch him grow and become the entrepreneur that he is. Also, I own a cookie company called the Soul Snacks Cookie Company. My factory is on 134th Street, and we service. Right now, because of COVID, we've changed directions. We used to do distribution to stores throughout the city, but I lost my distributor, and I had to, as Mr. Robinson said, I had to reorganize and revamp my thinking. And I put in a proposal to JP Morgan Chase, and now they're my #1 client. And also a company called Great Performances, which is one of the biggest caterers in the tri-state. So we do baking for JP Morgan Chase and them. And I'm in my restaurant, which is called the Soul Snacks Cafe. I try to keep that soul theme going on. And that's how I met Lisa. Lisa was very, if not completely instrumental in me getting this space that I'm in right now. And we're a soul food restaurant here. And as someone mentioned, Lisa is probably one of the most hardworking people I've ever met, she's really stood behind the process from beginning to end. She was, and also in transition from being the head of at the Westchester Square Business Improvement District, becoming the first woman to head up the Bronx Chamber, and she's doing an amazing job. My goal for my businesses is to grow. We're now in the process of developing product for Walmart. We've been asked by Walmart to submit to them. I'm very excited about that because what it does is it allows me to employ more Bronxites at either my factory or at the restaurant. So it's very, very exciting times right now. So I don't know if COVID's been a help or a hindrance, but one thing that I think that you'll hear from the people that I just met is that the theme of, you know, how to make lemonade out of lemons. And
Exactly right. Thank you for
and,
that. That is exactly right. I mean,
yeah.
and I thank you for your kind words, but this is really about the celebration of you guys. You know, as it is, we were, it's always been very difficult to open a small business in New York City. And we're going to specify specifically for the Bronx. And the Bronx was just totally on an upward mobile success story, and then the pandemic hit. But here the four of you are in your, as Ralph said, the silver lining, right? There's always a plus and a minus and a learning curve. And so as we celebrate Black History Month, we want a better understanding for those who are listening to you today about obstacles and your experiences and your journeys. So what I will do is I will ask a couple of questions. I will direct it to one or two of you. Again, feel free if you want to answer part of that question so that people get an idea, because at the end of the day, my goal is always about if there's somebody out there listening, somebody who will listen to this recording when we share it, that you guys become the mentors and the examples for our young ones who have these fabulous ideas. Most of these ideas do come from being at home and starting your business with a fabulous idea and making it work. So I will start with, talk to me about the biggest challenge of opening up a small business in our borough. What was the biggest obstacle? And how did you work your way through that obstacle to bring you to where you are today? Takia, we're going to start with you.
My pleasure. I believe, to me, my biggest obstacle was information and support. That was my biggest issue. And again, thank you, Lisa, the Bronx Chamber. I guess that's one of my best decisions thus far, in opening business, one of them. But I hope for the future, younger entrepreneur, or even older, but new entrepreneurs will have resources for information, because lack of information, we're a product of our environment, right? So lack of information, we're thinking we can't do it. And there's things out there that we could have done, our parents could have done before us too, but it's the lack of education. And education doesn't mean like a degree, is how much did we know about this? So I had to do a lot of research, and I didn't have no mentor. And meanwhile, in the Bronx, there was older business people that own businesses, the mom and pops businesses, but also, one, they don't share. Two, they're scared of sharing because competition, and also not even competition, they're even scared. They don't even know how to share it with you because they did it the same way that I am through the rough. They had to dig for it. So they themselves couldn't even advise me of where to go. But now I've been getting a lot of DMs from a lot of females that want to start a business like mine. And they've been asking, like, I've been wanting to start this business, but I never know where to start. And that's what made me realize that to start a business in the Bronx or to start a business overall as a female or even as a Black individual, it's somewhat difficult because we have no information and the support, lack of support.
That's interesting. And so, and you're not the first one to say it, and I've heard that quite often. So I am going to turn to Ralph and say, based on what Dakia just finished saying, did you find that you face the same obstacles, or did you have the information and not something else? Talk to me a little bit about what your biggest obstacles were to open up your business.
For me, the biggest obstacles was financing, and not knowing about those little hidden areas of that could become problematic, like as far as construction is concerned, depending on the building that you're in and how old that building could be. And once you start pulling back those layers, you find that, oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's going to cost me $5,000. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's going to cost me $15,000. Oh my goodness, those are the kind of things that I experienced more with the restaurant and less with the factory space, because the factory space was just a shell that I built into. This was an existing Chinese restaurant that had a lot of great amenities. But again, as I started to go in deeper and started to do like the CSI, I was like, oh, I'm uncovering a lot. And I was burning Lisa's phone up, just like, what do I do now? But what I've learned to do through some very, very good people is to try to alleviate some of the obstacles before they happen, and hopefully look into things that could be a problem. And the way how to do that is by putting together a business plan. That I learned to be very important with every venture that I've done. The very first was for an internet site that I launched. And the gentleman that helped me now is a young man from the Bronx that now works for Google. He said, you're gonna need a business plan. And I fought him tooth and nail. And now I am thankful for that. So that helped the obstacles, because I can open up my plan and see my forecasts and everything that I was looking at doing, and have a way to somehow get past it. You're not gonna get past everything. The other thing is one thing that I talk about is having the keys to the castle. So when you're having problems, please understand that in the last 40 years, there's been the introduction of something called the internet. Okay, when I was in high school, in Stevenson High School, there was no internet, and everything had to go through the library or something that you got from that World Book Encyclopedia at home. So the obstacles that we have now you can learn quicker because of the internet. I mean, I literally learned how to build certain things from Googling it and going on YouTube. So some of those areas that were problematic long term, as Dakia said, that people don't want to give up information, the information is out there. So for me, when you have a problem, it's about trying to find a solution and share it. So
that.
I'm personally one of those people that I want you to know everything that I went through, that you can learn from what I went through, that you don't possibly have to go through what I went through. It's not about holding and going, you better get out there and learn it yourself. No, that's not what it's all about. So those obstacles, I want to share with people what it was. And the biggest obstacle was some of the things that I uncovered that I don't think anyone would have known, but we got through it and we did open. And so it's all about thinking positive and moving forward.
Thank you. It's interesting. You're sharing two different stories with somewhat of the same. You're looking at information, lack of support, people keeping their information close to their chest, finance. So in keeping with that, as difficult as it is, especially in the Bronx, would you say, and this I will direct to Mr. Robinson, would you say that the obstacles being faced in the Bronx are coming right from your own community? Is it the city services? Is it the difficulty? Where do you find, based on what Ralph and Takia just said, how did you overcome your obstacles to bring you to your success right now?
Well, to the first part of the question, I believe that the city and the state, the lack of resources, and not necessarily lack of resources, but it's also the effort to support African Americans. I believe that in some cases, some situation I experienced, because of the color of my skin, I was able to get things that I needed.
Do you have an example? This is an honest platform because these are the conversations that we need to have to better understand your successes.
So that's a short story. I went to see a lawyer in Manhattan, and he was supposed to do a lot of stuff for me. And when I finally met him, he faced a special change when I went to his office after email and phone call back and forth. And then, because I was so new to the business field, what I paid for, I didn't get it. And it was a rush to get me out. Right? And when I was applying for my MWBE, I realized I don't have certain documents. Then I went to a different lawyer and I told him what happened. And he was scratching his head. And then, some of the stuff that he told me what I should get me, and I didn't get it. I was hurt, but I was upset as well. Because based on my experience with a lawyer, I believe that it was the color of my skin.
Okay.
Right. But how I get where I'm at, it's necessary. It's seriously discipline, perseverance. I keep pushing. I fell down so many times, especially when the pandemic hit, everything shut down, and I kept praying, trusting God, and I saw some of my friends close their shop, and I said, no way, I'm not going to. And so I keep pushing, and during that time I was working, and I hire a team to promote. This was a big gamble for me, marketing company, to promote my company on social media. I was using my salary to pay for. I used my rent money to keep paying, and so some of the people started responding, and then I got into the city. Niger reached out. So it's all about self-confidence for me. Keep pushing, because I have my goal. I keep working towards my goals.
That's fantastic and very encouraging. And on that exact topic, the pandemic, it really took everybody off guard. Rhonda, this one's for you. How did the pandemic impact your business, and how did you pivot? And I think that based on the successes, because this is also a celebration of your businesses, right? It's not all negative, because the four of you are here as an example of how to get through things, right?
Yes.
Through the challenges, to Mr. Robinson's point, is perseverance and successes. So Rhonda, talk to me a little bit about the pandemic's impact on your business, how you pivoted, and what advice you would share.
Okay. As an event company, we do mostly in-person events. And so when the pandemic hit, everything literally shut down. And we were not able to pivot significantly because our target clientele, it was about having personal events, right? And so with everything shut down, we didn't really have anything going on until late summer. But we took the time to retool the company, to get involved in several mentorship programs, to update our online collateral. We updated our website, we updated our social media. towards the end of the summer, or in the summer, we got involved with the chamber and helped produce their pop-up drive-in movie night last summer. And like, we've been working to get all of our ducks in a row so that in the spring, as the weather warms, we know we're going to be really busy again. We have the privilege of being the in-house event coordinators and event managers at the Andrew Friedman Home. And so we've been marketing there. If you've ever driven by the building, they have this enormous, like over almost 6,000 square foot front lawn. And so we've been marketing that to local schools for graduation season, if the Department of Education says that we can have graduation, because we want to help support the class of 2021 and get their commencements in. We've also been working on a turnkey event product to provide for families who've lost loved ones during this pandemic so that they can come together safely and have some closure, because so many couldn't have funerals and the traditional family gatherings that we had last year. So we've really been working on being forward focused during this time and just trying to really figure out how we move forward in 2021 and put all those things, all the support mechanisms in place to be able to do that.
That is amazing. And you're right. You think about, to Ralph's point before, the silver lining, right? How much time in your craziness of life and your business would you have been able to really hone in on the success of your marketing and communications, right?
Absolutely.
So that's a skill, and it's something that you can probably teach, right, others about how to pivot to that type of success. Dakia, back to you. Tell me how the pandemic impacted you and your business and how you pivoted.
Hold on, my life had ended and I was wanted to do it. Hold on. I just do this and I started over. Mine was a shocker. The pandemic did great for us.
Did great, you said?
Yeah, great. So it was a
Okay.
bittersweet moment. We're in the midst of losing loved ones and family members. But in the beginning, like the end of March to the beginning of April, it was a shocking moment for all of us. So everybody was sheltered in. And I guess by Easter, people realized that, hey, if I have life, might as well I still celebrate. If my family are with me, I'm going to show them, give them their flowers now, show them love now, instead of waiting to see. So in the midst of other people like losing loved ones and going through a hard time, we still had people that wanted to celebrate whatever accomplishment that's going on in their lives. And we're talking about something simple as gender reveal, baby's half a year birthday. And for some reason, the celebration just got bigger, not in size, but more celebration, more. So mid-April, we just saw an influx of business.
Wow.
The business just keep coming. And it didn't stop. And I always tell my staff, by summer, we're gonna die down. That's my experience from the past, because everybody's out. Nobody really think about ordering cakes. The bakers won't be busy. And that was something totally different in 2020. The bakers were busy because a lot of people were unemployed or home. They find a new hobby. So I have beginners, I have people that's mom and kid that just baking for project. They're coming in. Even dads and kids, they're coming in. Teachers was finding new ways to get kids active, even though it's via Zoom and over the internet. So I have teachers coming in too, buying baking supplies to be interactive. And then you have the home bakers that some of them were in the restaurant. Majority of them was in the restaurant business and the baking business. Some were off the books, some were on the books. Now they have to find a way to supplement their income. A lot of them start baking from home. And there comes those set of people. And it just keep coming. And meanwhile, we're grateful for it, but we just couldn't keep up with the demand. So in the process, we were learning too a lot of stuff because they would just keep coming in. And the bakers were just, a lot of bakers were murdered in this pandemic. A lot of new bakers, home bakers. They were doing graduation, even if it's on the internet, people were celebrating their house. So even though they weren't going out, these people were still buying stuff, sweets, because it's a depressing time, and when most people are depressed, they go to sweets. Sweets are just flying off the shelf. Cakes and cupcakes, people just flying off the shelf, and it's still going. And I think what people come to the realization is, give me my flowers while I'm here. Celebrate me while I'm here. Show me that you love me.
That.
Show me that you love me while I'm here. So we could do a party over Zoom. We have come to that norm now. We could party over Zoom, but even though it's over Zoom, the birthday girl or the birthday boy still gonna buy a cake, so that even though Lisa can't get a slice, but you're gonna see this cake in the background over Zoom.
I'm gonna take a car drive over to your store is what I'm gonna do.
But so they're still buying cakes and they're still gonna celebrate. And that's us human. Like us human, even though in the beginning we all sheltered in, we really need each other because it's a cycle. We all do need each other in the end. And that's what eventually, when we break back out, we realize we still need each other. So we could do it internet, but we still connected.
Have that human connection. That's amazing. That's so inspirational. Cornell, let me ask you, the pandemic, the impact on your business, because I follow you, not only are you a member, but I follow you closely on social media, and your business took a turn also. How did the pandemic's impact on you and your pivot?
In the beginning, it was very difficult to see what's going on out there and the impact on food service. When I call up my friends and they're saying they're shut down, and feeling for them, we're just hurting together. And so I was attending these webinar, different companies, learning, getting information, and then I decided to pivot. And our pivot, we started to, because of social distance, we decided to start to sell meals to families in single containers. So if it's 5 family members, then they'll get 5 different containers. So that's what we started.
You provide containers, so individual.
Yes. So and then that's when Nitro reached out, and we did a contract like 5 months, and it's like, it was a lot of work, but it's worth it because we have to serve all these containers, like 500, 600 food. Sometimes I'm making 700 food a day.
Wow.
And so on. That's not work for me. Yeah.
Well, to Dakia's point, the silver lining, right? It's all of a sudden you realize the needs of people. The Bronx is known to have its food desert. So do you think that by pivoting the way you have, that will change your the way you do business moving forward?
No, not necessarily, because I love catering. I love to see pretty food outside here and showcase. I love to see my clients and their guests eating and enjoying what I cook. But when I work like this, I'm not seeing who's eating the food, Yeah, and the size is less what I would make in catering.
Right.
So I'm just working with the flow right now with pandemic and hoping for the best in the near future.
That's fantastic. Ralph, I'm going to ask you the same question. I think it's an important one. How did the pandemic impact you, and how did you pivot?
Well, starting with the cookie company, right before things started to shut down, I lost my distributor. which was devastating because we were in a lot of stores. And what I have found, just as much as I was devastated losing my distributor, I was just as devastated trying to find another distributor, because it's a workforce unto itself. They have their own things, and what's scary is that if you have a certain amount of people that you're doing distribution to, and you bring on a new distributor, and you lose that distributor, you now lose face with the stores, not the distributor, which made us very nervous. And then when COVID hit and our past president was not telling the truth, and he had Fauci not telling the truth, my partner and I became very, very nervous about what to do, because any New Yorker could see that Fauci was being censored by our administration. So we took it under our own to say, you know what, maybe so we don't make our employees sick, we don't get sick, maybe we might want to just shut down for a little while until this thing kind of gets figured out, because the message is not very concrete. And we did. We shut down the factory, we shut down the restaurant. It was very sad for us, because we employ 3 at the factory and 17 in the restaurant. So I was worried about them. I was worried about, you know, how are they going to eat? How are they going to get food on their tables? We stayed closed for about 2.5 months. And during that 2.5 months, as I said before, is when I came up, like Mr. Robinson said, you come up with new ideas. You come up with things, you know, also Ms. Jones was saying, you don't just let it just sit around and, you know, just pull the covers over your head and just wish it kind of goes away. You look at the reinvention. And that's what we did. We reinvented. We reopened up our store with new clients, with the factory, with the cookies, which was very, very, very good for us now. So I can totally relate to you, Ms. Thompson, as a baker, that one thing that I've learned in the baking market, that in any type of bad situation, cookie sales go up, baking sales go up. It just goes, if you look at every chart, I'm talking international charts, you will see that the graph always does this all the time. So I totally understand what that is. Yes, it was scary, but the pandemic showed me something once again about the resilience of people.
True.
In the beginning, we were all afraid. There wasn't a person out there that wasn't scared. I know we all were. Are we going to catch it? Are we going to give it to somebody? Am I going to get it? Am I going to die? The realization of all of that, you know, can send you either running for cover or trying to figure your way out of it. So most entrepreneurs want to figure their way out of it. But at the same time, I think the biggest thing that I learned about this pandemic, other than reopening, also the PPP the first time around, we did not get. They gave it to all the big businesses. We did not get it, but I sat up on the second round and I filled out all that paperwork again. And luckily we did get funded, which is why we got both businesses open again. But the thing for me, what I've learned about failure is that you have to find something positive in that failure, or in that bump in the road. You got to say, why did I hit that pothole and how do I work around it? Not, oh, well, people are going to get me down and it's bad news and I'm not going to survive this. That's negative and that's pessimistic thinking. What I've always tried to do and always tried to teach is that in any bad situation, I'm talking anything, you have to find what's good in there. You got to dig. Sometimes you got to dig deep, but you got to find what's good to help you to move yourself along. And that's kind of what I did, you know, with this whole pandemic thing. I'm like, okay, we just opened the restaurant. We just spent every dime and every shoelace to get everything going. And now we're closed. What did you learn from this? And I learned that you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
There you
Anything.
go.
I know that's,
And
I know it sounds simple.
Yeah.
I
And
know it sounds simple, but
I could second that, like honestly, because I did the unthinkable in the midst of a pandemic. You guys
Which
ready
is?
for it? I opened a new business in a pandemic. I signed a new lease for a new brick and mortar right next door to my store to open a juice bar and a cafe
Wow.
in the midst of a pandemic.
Congratulations.
But that was,
That sounds like a second membership for the
yes,
chamber.
it is. It is. Definitely it is. But it goes to show that I wasn't gonna give up. I wasn't gonna give up. And like what Mr. Ralph said, I wasn't gonna put foolish over my head and give in the end I'm gonna, right? So I have 3 kids that are looking up to me, because your biggest role model and your kid's first role model is at home.
Without a
So
doubt.
never you tell some celebrity outside, oh, the role model for the kid. No, you are your kids' first and biggest role model. So I have a legacy to create, right?
That's
And
awesome.
I have an opportunity to be great. So, Mr. Robinson, you know the saying in Jamaica, I rather die trying, you know?
Yeah.
601, that's not an other. I rather die trying. And a lot of people don't take the leap in business because of fear.
Right.
Fear is a main factor why people do not jump into business. And I used to have that fear, but the minute I get my foot wet, going back to Mr. Ralph, I followed Steve Harvey for years, from the Apollo, from the radio station, from he was Steve Harvey and the Angels. I stayed in line back in LA just to go to a live morning show with Steve Harvey. So when he book and everybody was buying his book, all those stuff, I used to hear those stuff live in my ear. And then what you say, it's just inspirational to see Steve Harvey from where he's from, and you work under him. And I was just listening to him over the radio and see him on TV. People wouldn't even understand, like, it's so inspirational from where he's coming from to where he is now. It gives me so much hope that I could be that, because it's work ethic is number one. You cannot give up. Yes, you could pivot, but you cannot give up. You have to dust your shoes off, keep running, tie your lace, and keep running. Keep running. There's no finish line when you're an entrepreneur or when you're a Black. There's no such thing as a finish line. The sky's not even our limit. We could go to the sky and beyond. So we just have to keep, and I took the leap of faith. Trust me, I'm not gonna be brave and tell you guys, oh, I wasn't nervous. Yes, my business plan looked real predictable, right? Like hot. I'm opening a business in the middle of a pandemic, but I had to have that business plan, and I have to hope for the best for my business to succeed, because my confidence also boosts up my business success. So I had to do it. So Mr. Ralph is very, 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 very right. We have to be consistent, and we have to don't give up. Like, be perseverance. You cannot give up.
You're awesome. So inspirational. To your point, you mentioned something that'll bring me to my next question. Do you think being a Black-owned small business in the Bronx, it's more or less challenging than anywhere else in the city? And if so, why and how? Rhonda, I'm going to turn this one to you.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself so that I can answer that question. I think absolutely. I think that the Bronx has the poorest congressional district in the nation, right? Statewide, we are the unhealthiest county in New York State.
That's why we have Mr. Robinson.
Those 2 obstacles alone, right, are monumental just as a resident. Forget being a business owner. When I looked at the PPP funding that came into New York City being such the epicenter of COVID a year ago, we got 12% of the funding that came out of that first round, and the Bronx got the smallest part of that 12%. So yeah, there are some real obstacles trying to start a business in the Bronx, but I think that Bronx business owners are more resilient, we are more creative, we are more determined, and we make it happen. And I think that as a Black business owner, we just have to find ways to support one another. We have to find ways to share information amongst one another. I get, my background prior to starting this company was in nonprofit. And so I get a lot of grant information, and I literally have a list of businesses that I immediately just forward those emails to, because just finding those resources, there are resources out there to help, like the Chamber and like a number of other organizations, but there's no one central clearing house to find this information. And if you're not tech savvy, or if you don't really have the bandwidth because your business is demanding hands-on, or if you just come from a world where you're not familiar with how to apply for grants and how to tap into those resources, it can be very frustrating. But yeah, I think it is harder in the Bronx to start a business, but I think that the businesses, the people that decide that they want to set down their business roots in the Bronx are a real special group of people. And I think that when they prove themselves to be successful, it's really something, it's really an accomplishment. And I'm glad to be in that number.
I think that's fantastic. I'm going to shoot the same question to Mr. Robinson. Do you think being a Black-owned business, small business, is more or less challenging here in the borough than other areas?
I think so. Based on my friends who live in the Bronx, I believe that it's the lack of resources that circle in the Bronx. And I asked myself, why the resources aren't circling the Bronx than other city, you know. I don't get an answer yet, but so what I believe can make it better is for us, small business, support each other, you know, and share information with each other, and just have a network for ourselves and build together. So, because there are certain things that is not going to be easy for us to hold on to. You know, I remember I applied for this a bid. It was 1.5, right? And I mean, I went to a friend who I knew could support me, fill out all the forms and so forth. It was so great. And they turned me down. And I said, man.
You turned it down?
Yeah, they turned it down. And so I was able to find out the person who sent the bid to me. And she told me, when I reached out to her, she told me that it's the best price. They work with the lowest price, right? And that wasn't it. That wasn't it. It was because of the color of my skin, you know. And so you know, it's also to know, okay, what I do, I get into the system, right? Because like I said in the beginning, I'm a vet. I served my country for 12 years. So I know how to get into the minds of people. I get into this system and use it against them to get what I want. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm pulling resources of these people back out of their hands, you know, and working my way into the system, you know, and try to keep my colleagues. I just try to move them along with me, with sharing information, and keep them, you know, with the network, so all of us can be successful together.
I think that is so inspirational. And I'll take something to note, changing for a quick second, is, you know, I see the four of you, and interestingly enough, by accident or not, you're all within the food, event, or such planning. You realize that the four of you can start your own business together, because you bring your own specialties, right? From the healthy to the soul snacks and the cookies, the cupcakes, and your event planner that puts it all together. I'm a true believer in sharing and working business to business within the borough, which I think is so important because, to Rhonda's point, it sustains our borough and it really brings it together. So your successes, tell me your advice to up and coming entrepreneurs. You're a successful Black-owned business. You've gone through your challenges, financial and otherwise. Right now, you have, let's say, 40 young people listening to you as their role models. Tell me what you would tell them, an up and coming entrepreneur. Rhonda, we'll start with you.
I would say be clear on what you want to do. Be really clear on what you want to do, because others will often try to fit you into molds that make sense to them. The other thing I would say is seek help, because there are resources that are out there. There are plenty of resources out there. A lot of them are free and low cost. Like, seek help. You don't have to figure this out all by yourself. And then lastly, I would say, like, decide to persevere. Like, being an entrepreneur is not easy. If it were easy, everybody would own their own business, right? And so you have to just decide, I'm gonna stick this out. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make it work. Last fall, we celebrated 3 years, and I felt like, wow, I did it. I made it through like that first crunch period. And so you just have to decide to really just persevere and decide you're going to do this.
I think that's fantastic. Dakia, what would be your words to up and coming entrepreneurs? And if you're trying to speak, you're muted. I'm getting everybody a t-shirt for it. Go ahead.
I'm trying to go live again. Okay. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My advice is tap back into what Rhonda said. Make sure it's something you're passionate about. Make sure it's something that you're definitely passionate about. Make sure it's nothing you're going in to worry about to become rich, not the word rich, because you have to have the guts to be in small business. Make sure it's something you're passionate about. It's not something about the money. Make sure you're solving a problem. When you're solving a problem, the success will come eventually. Research, do your research. Back to what Rhonda said, gather your information. And last but not least, it's not just one thing, it's don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, and just do it. Just do it. But just remember, you have to, once it's something that you're passionate about, the success will come eventually. The success will definitely come eventually, but you cannot go in it to say, I'm gonna make this much money, I'm gonna make this much money. No, make sure you're solving a problem, and the success will definitely come afterwards. And just do it.
That's a fascinating way to say it. You're right, you are solving a problem, even when you really don't think about it, right? Because when you say event planning, or you say cupcakes or cookies or catering, and there may be many, but within our own borough, and the minority borough, right? The most impacted by this pandemic, you know, all the losses, but you're absolutely right. You are solving a problem. You're providing a solution to things people may think about, right? Mr. Robinson, tell me, what would be your words of advice to young up and coming entrepreneurs?
My words of advice are keep focus.
Okay.
Focus. Be confident. Remove fear. Have no fear. And keep moving. You will fall down. When you fall down, get up. Keep moving forward. Don't give up. Don't look where you're coming from. Look where you're going.
Very nicely stated. Ralph?
I I had a whole thing written for that last one because boy, that was a good one. But for this, the first thing is get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. There's some very dangerous words that you need to eliminate from your vocabulary. The first four-letter word that you have to eliminate in order to be an entrepreneur is the word can't. Can is a very, very dangerous word. Very dangerous. It will slow you down. Can't is the cousin to what if. Okay, what if I don't make any money, and what if I don't? The thing that entrepreneurs understand in this thing that we do is that every step of the way you're learning something new that you can apply to a new venture. That's called experience. Also, persistence overcomes resistance. Be persistent in what you want and go after it as much as you possibly can. Ask a lot of questions. There's a lot of information, as I said earlier, that's out there that you can access, that you can implement for your business. The 5 P's: passion, power, placement, performance, and purity. Passion is why you became an entrepreneur. Power is why you want to do this and you're giving yourself the energy. The placement is the where you are and how you're going to get to the next level. Passion, power, placement, performance is how you get through it because you want to make the best of what you do. You're performing. I'm a musician, I'm an entertainer. You're performing when you're out there, okay? And then the last one, you want to do it as pure as you possibly can from your soul, because that circle now, you don't fail when you're doing it from your heart. Please understand that. And what this woman said, what she said, Ms. Thompson said, success is not how much money you make. It's in finishing the thought. Finish the thought. Immerse yourself into what you're doing, make sense of it. But if you're looking at success on a date, you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay, the point is that you learn, you ask questions, you be persistent, and you put everything that you can into it. You know, there are so many obstacles out there already. Why create something for yourself? Why put your own obstacles up? Knock those walls down, take those bricks down. Don't build your own walls, knock them down. You could do anything. Anybody could do anything. The stories that you're hearing throughout, collectively, through all of us, is that we believe in a dream. We actually saw the dream in our heads and said, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if people laugh at me. When I started to bake cookies when I was a musician on TV, my friends said, you're crazy, until I opened a store in Tokyo. Then I wasn't crazy anymore. Then I was like, yo, that's my man. But my point is, do not let anyone get in the way of your dreams. Get out of your own way. Very important. Please understand that.
I think that is amazing. For those that are listening, I see you guys are getting so many kudos for your inspiration and your words. I am going to ask anybody who has questions, by all means, put them in the chat room as we're about to wrap this up. But I also realize one thing that everyone is saying, and the sharing of information seems to be a big topic. The availability of information seems to be a big problem. So tell me, before I let you have your last words, tell me if you had a wish list as a Black entrepreneur, as a Black business owner. You guys have gone over the hurdle, you're successful, you've faced your challenges, and I'm sure there's more challenges to come, but based on everything you're saying, you have so much energy and passion. I'm ready to go start my own business, which is so inspiring. But a wish list for if you were to say, if I started it today, what should have been in place by the city or the state or by any organization that would have made my job that much easier? Because granted, to all of your points, you learn from the chaos it is our life now, the new normal of doing business. But What can the city, the state have done differently for you? Your wish list. So if I were able to take this back to the governor, to our mayor, your wish list would look like what? Give me your top 3 things that should have been in place or could be in place that would have made your life easy in starting your business. Zakia, we'll start with you.
Finance.
Okay.
Finance.
Okay.
Finance is number 1. Resources, number 2. And education.
Interesting. On how to do a
Finance.
business?
Yeah, finance, resources, and education. I think our community is lacking of all of the above. Could be more. The other 3 business owners could add into that, but we definitely need help with financing, or we need some oversight. The Bronx commercial space rent is ridiculously high.
Right.
I believe there's no oversight, or there's no one mandating those numbers. So the rent for brick and mortar in the Bronx is extremely high. So there go one issue, one obstacle, because we'll have customers that would like to compare us with online or with other places, and they're totally forgetting some of the obstacle that we have to go over. I believe rent space is like, you could go in a different state and rent a space like I have for like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And in the Bronx is 4 times that. So for a business to start out and paying a $4,000 rent alone, that's a big chunk. That's a big chunk out of your money. And businesses get rated differently with Con Ed. Yes,
Oh, interesting.
business get rated. There's a different rate that businesses get with Con Ed. So those are a lot of factors for small businesses. So if this is going back to the governor, and I hope he does get a wind of it, someone put it on his desk or something, we need financing. We need resources. Oftentimes the Bronx is often too forgotten. Like, we shouldn't be forgotten, because the Bronx, we are on the map and we pull numbers.
That's right.
We're resilient people. We're smart. We're very ambitious. We don't sit around and wait on the government. As you can see, we didn't get that much of that PPP, but we didn't wait. As what Rhonda said, we went in the thinking box and we come up with something. We reinvent ourselves, because that's what we are. We're Bronx strong. You know, he used New York strong, but really we're Bronx strong.
Totally. We have Laura from the Bronx Time that's in the audience. And that's exactly what she's saying. And she loves your inspirational stories. So we'll make sure to follow up with her. Mr. Robinson, give me your top 3 that the city or the state should have in place for minority-owned businesses. You're muted. The story of our lives.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Resources, finance,
The
support.
theme. Yeah. Fair enough. Rhonda?
I think that education and information is key. One of the things we haven't touched on at all is what has happened in corporate America in response to the social injustices that we witnessed last summer. And when that whole thing was unfolding, I was very attuned to all of the promises that corporate America was making to support diversity and to engage Black and people of color in business opportunities. And what I have seen has been quite refreshing, and that there are a number of major corporations who are earmarking monies to go to support small businesses, to support businesses of color, to support women-owned businesses. And there's no place to gather that information. Like, I I understand the position that there is an expectation that the government should do more. But the truth of the matter is the government has limited resources. And I think that as small business owners, we need to push past what the government can do and figure out how to support each other and how to support ourselves. And so as I've watched people like Verizon step up and, you know, give $10 million to support small businesses. Target's got initiatives, Walmart's got initiatives. All of these corporations have initiatives, and it's hard as a small business to figure out where they are and what do we have to do to tap into them. So whereas like throwing more money at it from a government standpoint might be helpful, I really think that providing the infrastructure for small businesses to tap into resources that extend beyond the government would be very, very helpful. I'm a Christian, and there's a Bible verse that says that people perish for a lack of knowledge. It's like we just need access to this information, and then we can go forth and do what we got to do to make it happen.
Very well stated. And you're absolutely right. There is a diversity and inclusion across corporate America. And yes, there are a lot of topics that we can be addressing. And I just wish we had more time, because getting into the nitty gritty of what our borough and our city and our country is facing as it relates to businesses of color and residents and otherwise are tough, which is why successes and having these conversations about the power of business, entrepreneur, thinking and living out your dream with the words of fear and can't and so on means so much more, especially now during the pandemic. Ralph, tell me, we'll end with you on that one question. And to Rhonda, so I'll switch it up, right? What are the top 3 things that should or could have been in place? I say city state because I find that they have failed us in the city. When the city released one of its first grants for small business, the Bronx only received 1%. And so that's something that I've been challenging and fighting for the last year. But you're 100% correct. And those are things that, as we have these conversations, the Bronx Chamber takes very seriously. So Ralph, your top 3. Then I have a fabulous question from one of our members, and then I'll allow you, Ford, to give us a quick 1-minute closure.
Okay, just Ms. Thompson, I just want to let you know that commercial real estate pricing is not going to go down.
I know.
And no, but the only reason why I'm saying that, and it's a good thing, because we as Bronxites, we have a resilience that's strong, and we come from many different places. But there was a place out in Brooklyn called Williamsburg where no one lived. It was desolate. It was a ghost town. Okay. You go to Williamsburg now with some of the highest real estate in New York. Okay. That's because the people went in and they decided to start making it a city within themselves. And I lead that into, we have to create our Black Wall Street through the Bronx Chamber. Okay. What happens culturally, and I'm saying this because I've owned my cookie business for a long time, certain cultures that look like me do not buy my product because I'm not from where they are. We have to break those stereotypes in order for us to achieve more and do more. And the reason why I say through Bronx Chamber, because my 3 things that need to happen is money, a structure of follow through that businesses are now coordinated through within and throughout through the chamber, because what it does is not only does it strengthen us as business people and entrepreneurs, but it gives the chamber even a larger base of control as to how to disperse information. Because as Ms. James has a plethora of information. I can't wait to talk to you when we're done. But my point is, if we have that viaduct that we can go through, then the things that we're all talking about that come from the state, the chamber has all that information and they could disperse it to all of us. So creating our own Black Wall Street and thinking like what they did with Black Wall Street is how we all need to think. There are 328 million people in New York City. Okay, that means that there's 328 million potential clients for all of us out there. We just have to pull our resources together to make that happen. So, and it's also about having the personal touch. What happens a lot of times in businesses is this. Companies get so overwhelmed that they can't disperse information continuously or in a way that that person, that business, yours, mine, or anyone else's, feel like they're the only client that they have. So my suggestion is that through the chamber, that we can now find ways that you would, a person that works at the chamber will take 10 and 10 businesses only, and they have to report back to Lisa with information about what they did for those businesses, what did they learn, and how did we now disperse that information going outward. So those are the three things that I think we need. We need money, we need follow through, we need personal touch. So
and I love your Black Wall Street, by the way. Absolutely love that.
But okay, for everyone knows Black Wall Street, but what I learned in my years is that in New York City, and someone said it earlier, what happens is people start making money and they start thinking that money only belongs to them. And if they give up any information, that they're going to lose their base, they're going to lose the keys to their castle. The truth of the matter is the ring on that castle where all those keys are gets bigger when you give out information. That's what we have to understand. That's why I said there's 328 million people out there for us. We just have to now trust this organization to be that viaduct where we can now go, okay, just like in the already in, go, we got it.
Love that.
That's how we'll win. We have to win as a team of business people. I've felt this way from day one. I feel this way now. And I from my experiences, I know that is to be 100%. If we want a Black Wall Street, we have to trust each other first. We got to trust each other.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so inspired. So Carl Lawrence put a question that I have to ask. If your past self could see you now, what part of your success would they be surprised by? What a great question. So I am going to give each one of you that question. If your past self could see you now, what part of your success would they be surprised by? Mr. Robinson.
I'm still thinking.
You're still thinking? You want me to come back to you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Rhonda.
I think my past self would be surprised that it took me so long.
Oh,
I was that kid literally with the lemonade stand in front of my house, selling lemonade to the garbage men. Back in those days, garbage got picked up every day. And I dragged my little brother outside with our lemonade stand, and we sold lemonade to the garbage men and people coming home from work. It's always been in me to be an entrepreneur. I just don't know why it took me so long to figure it out.
okay. God has his reason. I love that. Dakia?
It would be, wow, she finally believed in herself.
Very nice. Ralph?
I think my past self would look at my current self and go, I don't believe you stuck with those damn cookies.
That was good. I like that. Mr. Robinson, as you're thinking through because, I don't know you from your past, but what I can say is there was something that triggered you to want to do healthy food, that your catering and your ability to cook and provide such fabulous food. So there's got to be something in the young Robinson that looks back now and sees what? Pat yourself on the back. It's all good.
Yeah, it's being a director ahead and feeding sick people.
Wow.
Seeing them dying, and standing and watching at them and with that emotion sometimes, and then see me now standing as a chef.
Wow.
Look at those days and in healthy food, trying to preserve life. That's it.
That's powerful. Okay, so I'm going to give you each. First of all, I'm going to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and for those that are listening, the four of you have been so inspirational. These conversations are needed. They're powerful. I think our young young people need it, and our old people, because sometimes we get too comfortable and not realize that taking away the word fear is big, right? A lot of us, me included, live on that word fear that has stopped us from moving forward. So in closing, other than saying thank you, give me your closing statements to those listening. And let's close out this on your words. Mr. Robinson, your closing statement.
Well, I want to say thanks to the Bronx Chamber of Commerce to inviting me. And I really appreciate it. When I got the invitation, I was surprised. And for this month, this Black History Month, I'm celebrating moving forward. And I just want to say to all of us that let us get there together. And we can make it happen if we stick together.
Absolutely. I think that's so powerful. And for those in the audience also, we'll be sharing all your contact information for your businesses. Ralph, your closing words. You're muted. See what I mean?
You know what's so funny? I thought I was muted before. Lisa, I want to thank you and the Bronx Chamber for having me. The thing that I say when I'm doing my classes, the very last thing I say is this. Tomorrow, the sun is going to come up. And tomorrow night, the sun is going to go down. And that's going to happen with or without you. So you need to take every 24 hours and make the absolute best of it, because tomorrow is not promised.
Wow. Strong. Rhonda?
Again, I just want to echo everybody's sentiments and thank the Chamber and Lisa and your amazing, amazing staff for this opportunity and bringing this together. I think I would just say, like Ms. Thompson said, do it. Just do it. You'll figure it out. Just do it.
Love that. And Dakia, your closing words.
Man, I gotta be closer. Thanks to everyone. First and foremost, Lisa and the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. This whoever idea this was an awesome idea. Thanks to my fellow people that are on the panel. You guys were great. I don't know. I've never met none of you guys in person, but I've been in the chamber since 2019, and this is what I miss. We used to, because of COVID, we can't do it in person, but I used to look forward to going to these little events, whether it's at the Bronx Zoo, all catered, might I add, whether it will be at a next small business space, or it could be at the Marriott Hotel. The Bronx Chamber put on a lot of events like this for us to network with each other. I'm gonna echo what Rhonda said. We have to now lean on each other. We cannot depend on the government. We can't look to what the government could do for us. We're gonna have to now lean on each other and, Ralph, support each other. What Mr. Robinson said, don't give up. Pray, but don't give up. Prayer without works fail. So yes, you gotta hit your knees at night, but when the sun come up, you gotta put in the work.
That's right.
You know, you gotta put in the work. But I love this. This was awesome. Lisa, from day one from I started, you have been nothing but exceptional to me. I don't know what I've done to earn you and earn your support, but you know I'm extremely busy, but I try my best. I now have 3 new people to add to my list, my networking list. I have
That's
Mr.
right.
Robinson, I have Ralph, and I have Ms. Rhonda, and let's put in the work. Let's network.
Right. The next big event will be the 4 of you hosting one event. How's that? You each bring your beautiful expertise.
Absolutely.
And I say that each one of you hold a special place in my heart, because you all came from, when we met, from different ideas and your passion. And I'm all about trying and experimenting and learning, right? You're never too old to learn. But to your case, Takia, I actually baked my first cake and it was amazing, okay? Using all your products, Okay, so, and that in of itself is a miracle. So I want to thank you. Happy Black History Month. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Nobody call 911 for the fire department?
No, now we don't have to get into details, do we? But I thank you
I
all.
could help you with a cookie situation.
There you go. We all learn from each other. We all support. And yes, let's share the information. You all carry such great information that only as business owners you can share. So this is a great platform. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. I look forward to hugging all of you again really soon. But until then, these conversations continue because they're so important for our borough. Everybody have a really great night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night.